Thank you, John. I am 72 years old. But I've got plenty of energy. You know, I walk my dog every day, twice a day for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It should only be an hour and a half, but you know that dog stops every 10 minutes so I can pee? At 72, I rarely know what day it is. You guys are comics, you never know what day it is. Last Monday, I got up and I got dressed for church. And then I remembered, Monday morning, getting dressed for church. That's stupid. I don't go to church on Monday morning. I'm Jewish. I don't go to church at all. One thing about being my age is that a minor malady can turn into a death sentence. Or just be gas. I am petrified of having a stroke. And last Saturday, I've been wearing my contacts all day long. My eyes got tired, so I decided to put on my glasses. My vision immediately went blurry. Oh shit, this is it, the big one. But I knew that if I got to the hospital in time, there was a shot that would save my life. So I jumped in the car, I got to the hospital, the doctor took one look at me and he says, "Sir, can't give you the shot." I said, am I too late? He says, "No, sir, you're too stupid. Take your contacts off before you put your glasses on." So my wife knows that I'm clueless, and this has been the case since forever. First time I asked her out, she said no. Can you imagine saying no to this, to go seeing a movie called A Man and a Woman? 2 months later, though, because I'm not a quitter and possibly a stalker, I asked her out again. When she said yes, I decided to really impress her by taking her to the sequel, A Man and a Wife. When we walked into the art house theater, we were the only couple there. Everyone else was old men with raincoats on, with newspapers in their lap. Wowzer. It wasn't a sequel, it was a porno. But what an amazing first date. I mean, the amazing thing is that we had a second kiss. Everybody okay back there? Years later, when my oldest boys were 8 and 6, they loved the movie Flash Gordon. Everybody else remember Flash Gordon? Great movie. Bad science fiction effects, but a great movie, good humor. So I decided to really impress them and get them the sequel. So I ran over to Bllopers. Anybody here old enough to remember Bllopers? You know, the company that was going to blow up Netflix? Went to the science fiction section, and there it was. Flash Gordon 2. Ran it home. Oh no. Wasn't a sequel. It was a porno. But hey, look. Everything worked out okay. 50 years later, my wife and I are still together. All 3 of my boys are married. Except I am not allowed to get the movies. Ever. But I do think my new granddaughter would probably like Bambi 2 Behind the Bleachers. For some reason, my kids give me no respect. They say things to me, Adrian, like, "My house, my rules. It's still COVID out there, wear a mask. And Dad, stop fidgeting, we're trying to change your diaper." So I love it here in DC, but let's face it, it's getting way too expensive. I mean, you would not believe what it costs these days to buy a politician. And they're not worth it. You know, both DC and Georgia have politicians that tweeted that Jews control the weather. Come on. I don't care what Kane West says. We have not been able to control the weather since we let Egypt up first time. And you want to know a little secret? If we really had that superpower to just keep Manhattan a toasty 78 degrees. This next bit's going to go great. Jews and misery, we go together throughout our history. We just love being dour. We don't take any more German showers. say, we do not control the banks, we do not control the movies, and good golly, Miss Molly, we did not sink the Titanic. That was an iceberg, not a Goldberg. But it does make me wonder, can you really be Jewish if you're not miserable? I mean, John's half Jewish, but he's always miserable. But think about it. Moses, famously miserable. Rodney Dangerfield made a career out of being miserable. And me, I gave up eating gluten because keeping kosher didn't make my wife miserable enough. So, I didn't grow up in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Akron, Ohio. Dead silence. You're right. Even LeBron left. There was nothing to do. Well, except for going to evangelical churches to be saved. And I went. I got to see the Reverend Rex Humbard preach at the cathedral tomorrow. Wow! He was so powerful, I can still hear him preaching today. I have the power to take away all of your sins. I have the power to take away all of your ills. I have the power to take all major credit cards. Boy, howdy, I wanted that power. So I went to my career counselor and I said, Rabbi, I want to be an evangelical preacher. And you know, that's when I found out they don't let Jews do that. But I still wanted to abuse people, so I became the next best thing. A lawyer. Oh, come on. Lawyers aren't that bad. I mean, they are very effective as sleep aids. If you don't believe me, ask one what they do all day. If you're not asleep in 10 minutes, you're not paying attention. And I realize that people like lawyers about as much as they like undertakers. But you know, if grandma's, right? I mean, if grandma's dead, you gotta call the undertaker. And you really ought to call a lawyer if you're the one that shot grandma. Here's the point. Lawyers are a lot like condoms. It's best to use them before you get fucked. I hate the fact that just because I am over 70, people think that I'm old. On the subway, pregnant women give me their seats. And my only pickup line is help. I've fallen, I can't get up. But I get it, I do. People age, they change. A young man at 22 dreams of having a mistress who's young and sexy and will dress up like a nurse. Whereas an old man at 92 dreams of having a mistress that's an actual nurse. The young man really wants his mistress to knock his socks off. The old man, he'd be perfectly happy if she just put his socks back on. I get it. I will eventually become old and decrepit. No matter how much kale I cram down or pickleball I play, I only have two choices in this life. Either die too young or live long and fester. Here's the point. Old age is an attitude, not a number. Unless you're pushed out of your job because of your age like I was, then it's a short tumble. Lose your job, you lose all sense of purpose. Before you know it, you are sitting in death's wing, Gaithersburg. I'm Mark Palchuk. Thank you very much.